on the radio. Flexing, she loved the sound of my voice, it's the best thing. Daydreaming of the jazz all day. Pick up the phone late night with Larry K. I know you heard me on the radio. Flexing, she loved the sound of my voice, it's the best thing. Daydreaming of the jazz all day. Pick up the phone late night with Larry K.
Yo, Miami Dolphins fans, welcome to an episode of Larry K. We are live on the Phin-Addict Fury channel. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Let's get some people in here. I got my Miami Dolphins pocket squares on. This is a victory Monday. We are feeling good. I got my replica ring here, 1972 team. I'm feeling good. I hope you guys are all feeling good as well. We are, of course, coming back tomorrow for, Larry, Lucci, Shake, and G. But hey, we're out here. Chef, what's up, my brother? Beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan, man. And the reason I am so excited today, what up in Laredo, Texas? Guys, hit subscribe, hit the like button, share the link. Let's get it popping in here today. Victory Monday. And the reason I'm so happy about today being a Victory Monday is the fact that we came out in December in crappy weather in the Northeast, on the road. I know the Commanders aren't the best team out there, but in crappy weather, on the road, we came out here and we did what we had to do, and it feels great. It feels great. And, the reason it feels so great is Tua Tagovailoa, I think, had a very good game. And I understand the stats, 18 of 24 for 280 yards and a touchdown. Very good quarterback rating, good enough stats. It wasn't a 400-yard game. It wasn't a 300-yard game, but it was still a game that meant something and that Tua looked sharp in, right? I've been telling you all year that this is a show me season, and I'm waiting to see exactly where Miami goes in this show me season. And I'm waiting to see what Miami does in this show me season, and what are they going to show me, and what are they going to show us? And the fact of the matter is that when you come into the month of December on the road in the Northeast in sloppy, messy conditions, foggy, it's wet, and you have questions. Let's be honest. There are legitimate questions as to whether this quarterback and this head coach tandem can succeed in the month of December. You had the emotional tribulation of losing Jalen Phillips, which of course is going to affect the team no matter how you slice it. And you had a lot of things that you wanted to keep an eye on, including how do they replace the production of Jalen Phillips on defense? And by the way, Howell, the quarterback of the Washington Commanders, is the leading yardage quarterback in the league coming into this game. So this isn't some terrible team. This is a team that has legitimate formidability in certain ways, and you're waiting to see what the Miami Dolphins can do there. And I think Tua came out, and what I love, this is something I really hadn't seen, and I don't think any of us have seen out of Tua as much, really his whole career, but especially this season too. This very, very, everybody's saying out there, oh, Tua's just a spot thrower. Tua, never reads the field. He can't buy time. I understand there's some validity to the fact that the system is a timing system. And at certain points, you're throwing to a spot when you make the read and you just get the ball there based on timing. There's some validity to that, right? And Tua himself has said things along those lines before. So I'm not going to blame anybody who, would say that. However, if you're going to claim that Tua doesn't read the field, that he can't buy time, well, then yesterday completely obliterated that argument, and it couldn't have come at a better time in the month of December with our division title hopes on the line, with our playoff hopes on the line, with our playoff seeding hopes on the line. It couldn't have come at a better time. Tua absolutely looked brilliant at navigating the pocket, sidestepping pressure, feeling pressure when it was coming, and not only that, but keeping his eyes downfield, reading the defense, keeping an eye on who was open and who wasn't open, finding open men down the field and getting the ball to them. I thought that actually the best example that we saw of this yesterday was when Tua sidestepped a couple guys, kept his eyes down the field, and found an open Jalen Waddle for a first down for like a 15, 20-yard gain. And unfortunately, Waddle just dropped the ball. It looked like Waddle had his eyes, he was ready to pivot. He was ready to get downfield, and he had his eyes downfield before he could really secure the ball and keep the ball and make the move. But Tua looked very good. And if you're looking for signs of how this team's going to do down the stretch, that's a great sign. Now we come up against the Tennessee Titans at home on a Monday night. And then we have the Jets at home. And then we get into that real tough final stretch of the schedule, which is Dallas at home on Christmas Eve, followed by Baltimore on the road, followed by the Bills at home. And right now, Miami is the number 1 seed in the AFC. Now, you can't put much stock into that because Jacksonville plays tonight, and Jacksonville's playing against the Cincinnati Bengals team that does not have Joe Burrow. And if Jacksonville wins that game, they're going to be in the driver's seat. But the beauty of it is that the Chiefs lost last night. And I don't know what it is this year, but almost every time there's a night game on that means something to the Dolphins, and I kind of start to doze off, and then I kind of wake up. For some reason, the game has gone in our favor, and last night was no different. You saw, look, this wasn't a couple weeks ago. You didn't look at the Chiefs going into Green Bay and think they were going to lose. But as Green Bay has been playing much better and Jordan Love has been playing at a higher level, and as Green Bay has moved into playoff contention, Green Bay's a different team. And now you're playing at Lambeau in the cold, the smoke's coming off the guy's breath, and you're watching this game and you're seeing that the Chiefs have some holes in their defense that are exploitable. Chris Jones is a beast on the pass rush. They're still a good defense, but they have a couple injuries. There were a couple more injuries last night. Now, Mahomes is Mahomes. He's moving around. He's scrambling. He's running for first downs. He's scrambling and finding guys open downfield. He's a tough out no matter what you're doing. But Kansas City has some deficiencies. They have some weaknesses that Green Bay was able to exploit as best they could. I thought Green Bay played a good game. And so here we are in control of our own destiny. The common opponents thing with Baltimore is going to come up with Jacksonville. It already is something to look at with Jacksonville and the Bills because Jacksonville beat the Bills. We lost to the Bills. That's a decisive factor there. We play Baltimore, and the Chiefs are right now a game behind us for the number 1 seed. Now, I've been telling you all year, I'm not going to count my chickens before they hatch. I'm a Dolphins fan. I've been through it before. It's still a show me season. We have so many things we still have to show them. Shake, what up, my brother? MCJB, what up, guys? If you're in here, click subscribe, click like. Let's get some subscriptions going. Let's get up to 1,500. Let's build this channel right now. I'm on here for a little bit with you guys live, just discussing this Victory Monday. But, we control our own destiny. Is it likely that we win out? No, it's not likely. We have some tough games on the horizon. And honestly, in the NFL, every Sunday, week in and week out, is a tough outing. It's a tough game no matter what it is. But we control our own destiny. We are sitting at 9-3 for the first time in almost 2 decades. We control our own destiny. And we really have no excuse but to go out and compete and try to win. The Baker injury looked rough yesterday, and I know that some people are not the biggest Baker fans, but the fact is he's kind of the quarterback of the defense. He plays an important role, and he's always playing. He's always in there. He's always playing. He's always grinding. And so you losing a player like that is always going to hurt you. However, some of the post-game reports coming from McDaniel were that he was getting a vibe. It wasn't season-ending. Baker said he'll be back sooner than we think. And the fact is that, hopefully Duke Riley with some reps continues to do well. He looked okay yesterday. I think eventually there'll be some exploiting because I think Baker had turned a corner and was playing at a pretty high level. We'll see how long he's out. But I think, not a revelation so much as you might have expected this, but it was great to see it anyway, was Andrew Van Ginkel, filling in at that edge rusher spot for Jalen Phillips on several occasions. I mean, AVG didn't just come in and adequately replace Jalen Phillips or was not just a suitable, solid replacement. AVG came in, and just like we saw at the beginning of the season, AVG came in and had a beast of a game. I mean, a beast of a game. You got sacks. You have a pick six. You have his presence felt. You have a bunch of pressures. You just have a lot. He's a versatile player. And I really think when we're talking about a show me season, yeah, we're talking about Tua and how well does Tua do in the month of December? How well does Tua do? Has he upped his game? Has he progressed in his game enough to read the field, find the open receivers? We're looking at that. But what else are we looking at, right? We're looking at the front office. We're looking at our depth. Do we finally have a team that has depth so that when guys get injured, we have other guys come in and be able to fill in for those guys and make an impact and keep the team afloat. And if you look at a guy like Andrew Van Ginkel, when Jalen Phillips goes down, we have this depth where a guy is stepping in for Jalen Phillips. He's not just adequate. The guy is having a monster day. Now, I get it. It's against the Commanders. We can't, celebrate or get ahead of ourselves against the Commanders. We can't. But it's still an NFL opponent on the road in bad weather in December with a lot of things on the line, and we have guys playing some really good football. Now, Teron Armstead goes out again with an ankle injury. This is just adding to the litany of stuff wrong with Teron, which is never fun. But McDaniel said that Teron could have gone in a pinch. We don't know what the Robert Hunt injury is looking like. He did re-irritate his hamstring injury. Apparently, he didn't re-irritate it to the level that it was at, but it wasn't, ideal. He did sit out of the game a little bit later. DD, what's up, guys? If you're in here, hit subscribe real quick. Just take a second right now. Click subscribe. Join us in Fury Fam. Join the Fury Fam officially. Click subscribe. It's right here. And join us for more Dolphins content. If you're in the room, why not click it, right? Click it right now. But we have depth on the offensive line, on the defensive line, in the linebacker core. It's good to see that guys are getting reps. It's tough to lose Baker. Hopefully he's back. But I just thought we had a good showing yesterday. It was nice to see Achane back. Achane, for fantasy owners out there, nice day from him. 17 carries for 73 yards, 2 touchdowns, averaging 4.3 yards a carry. I thought Achane really looked like he was back to his old self. He didn't break a long one like we're used to seeing, but Achane definitely hit holes the right way. He was getting yards after contact. He was balling hard, and he was that slippery back who's hitting holes, sidestepping tackles, and making plays that we were accustomed to. He is an absolute huge weapon and asset to have down the stretch on this team. If I were McDaniel, I wouldn't overuse a guy like Achane right now. I would use him, in a tactical way. I would use him strategically in the lineup. I would use him strategically in game situations and do things properly with him. I think Jeff Wilson is a great weapon to have, towards the end of games. Raheem Mostert, 11 carries, 43 yards, averaging 3.9 a carry, 1 touchdown. Raheem is 2 touchdowns from tying Ricky Williams' single-season franchise record for the most touchdowns in a season. He is only 3 touchdowns away from overtaking that record. I am rooting for Raheem. This is becoming a special season, knock on wood. And again, not counting my chickens until they hatch, but becoming a special season on a few levels for a lot of players for this franchise. And seeing Raheem Mostert get to that level is very encouraging. Obviously, guys, the cheat code, the superstar receiver on this team. And I was worried last week that Tyreek Hill was maybe a little bit banged up because he's got his leg taped up, his hands hurting him. And a few times I'm starting to think should they give him a rest? Should they sit this guy for a little bit? And obviously he's chasing this 2,000-yard record. Obviously he's probably the best player on offense, and you can't sit him. I understand that, but I was getting a little nervous. But in this game, he looked like he was his old self. He looked healthy. Let's knock on wood on that one. Let's make sure he stays that way. Let's, again, not get ahead of ourselves. But the 2 touchdown passes were a thing of beauty. Both the passes from Tua and the receptions from Tyreek, just especially that second one over that back shoulder, just absolute brilliance, just, in stride, burning the defense and just getting there. Tyreek Hill with 157 yards, averaging 31.4 yards a catch yesterday, 2 touchdowns on 5 receptions. Jalen Waddle, 5 receptions, 52 yards, averaging 10.4 a reception. Devon Achane, 3 for 30, 10 a reception. Just beautiful to see. Agba was in there with a sack, so it's nice to see that we can change pace a little bit on the outside on that rush position with Agba, with Van Ginks. You can get Van Ginkel a little bit more inside, and that, depending how long Baker's out, depending what Vic Fangio wants to do, we might see a little bit more of Agba in there getting reps while Van Ginkel goes back into the middle, and we'll see how that works out. It's nice to have that option, right? It's nice to be able to say, we have these guys, we can put these guys in, and we can make this difference. Just nice. It's nice to see Sanders. Sanders hit a long, 49-yard field goal. He was 1 of 1 for that 49-yarder. I still have my doubts about Sanders in pressure situations. I wouldn't want to be in a position in a really pivotal game down the stretch, and I wouldn't want to be in a position in the playoffs where we need to worry about Sanders hitting a long field goal. I'm not quite there yet, but it's you can't be anything other than at least a little bit encouraged and a little more optimistic than we were that he's hit a couple long field goals in his last 2 outings. You got to be happy about that. So in this show me season, Fury fam, in this show me season, there is a lot to be encouraged about. And it doesn't mean it's over, because it's far from over. And you know something? I was going to say this too, and here we go. JC, Texas. I'm worried about the Hard Knocks curse with the 2 big injuries in the past 2 games. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, that crossed my mind too, JC. The Hard Knocks curse, man. I hated that. I hate getting through a game that we're supposed to win. We were supposed to win against the Jets, especially with their latest quarterback situation, which is an absolute mess right now, even worse. And against the Commanders, two teams we are supposed to win. It's on the road. We get out of there with victories, and you're supposed to be happy, and I'm feeling happy. But then you come out with these like catastrophic big injuries. Now, hopefully Baker's isn't season ending, but he's certainly going to miss some time, right? And it's certainly going to cause some issues while he's out. And then Jalen Phillips, who was having, really a career year, who we always knew he could be a star pass rusher, who's becoming a star pass rusher. And let's not forget his prowess on running plays and how he guards the run. It was tough to lose a guy like Phillips. So you're coming out of these games, you got to pray to get out of these games healthy. And I'm really hoping we can get out of this next game healthy, because we're then going up against the Jets, who are a division rival again. You hope you get out of that healthy, because now you got this tough stretch of Dallas, Baltimore on the road, the Bills at home. And you want to stay as healthy as possible for the postseason, and with that in mind, I was a little nervous down the stretch with McDaniel's use of Achane. I understand Raheem's the starter, and he solidified himself, and that's not going to change. So Raheem was getting, a breather on the bench in garbage time towards the end of the game. But I didn't like all the run Achane was getting, towards the end of that game. I know he's got to get loose, and I know he's got to get reps. And I know fantasy owners are happy he got those reps and he got that second touchdown, I'm sure. But hey, you got Jeff Wilson on the roster. And when Chris Brooks comes back, you're going to have him. Let's use Achane, smartly. McDaniel has been so good all season at load management, especially guys who are a little banged up, with the load management, with making sure that guys didn't go in when they were hurt and bang themselves up more. Let's not get carried away with the guys like Achane. Let's make sure there's some load management. Football in the postseason and in December and January is as much about attrition and health as anything else. The teams that have less attrition or have a good current lineup with fill-ins for the injured going into the postseason, who are able to keep it together, have the best chance at making a deep run in the playoffs. So a guy like Achane, we're lucky he's back. We're lucky he's healthy now. Let's be strategic about how we play these guys. And the same goes for the offensive line injuries. The same goes for, the run you give guys on the edge. It goes for everything. But it was nice to see Agba get in there and get a sack, because it shows us we have some flexibility with the depth on this team, and that's always beautiful. Phil, what's up, my brother? I'm well. I hope you're well. I know you've been busy. You've been missing the panels. Guys, we are coming back. I know there's a free Larry movement out there, but we are coming back in January. All things, everything goes well. Cross your fingers. We're coming back. We'll be remonetized. We'll get rid of the YouTube nonsense that they gave us. So join. If you're in here now, click subscribe. Join Fury Fam. We have good discussion. We have good content on this channel. It's not going to flood you with content. You're not going to get content 3-4 times a day, every day, but you're going to get good, well thought out, solid, quality Dolphins content on this channel. So please consider subscribing. And we're consistently building, we're consistently expanding, we're consistently implementing new ideas, new content, and I'm consistently not donating, but giving more time to this channel as it grows, and especially when we can keep ourselves self-sustaining when the revenue comes back in, which is not a profit, but it keeps the channel going. So click subscribe if you can, if you haven't yet. And thanks for joining me on this Victory Monday. But just you can never get too far ahead of yourself. And that being said, this is really the best position that the Miami Dolphins have been in going into December in recent memory. Now, I know we were in good positions when I was younger, much younger, but in the modern era, like this century, this is the best that Miami's best position they've been in. And you can't take it for granted if you're a team. And I noticed some things were said post-game after this game where I don't remember if it was McDaniel or if it was Tua. But somebody said, look, I'm seeing something interesting with the team now that we're in crunch time, now that these games are so meaningful, now that we're into this December stretch. I'm seeing guys stay longer, linger on the practice field longer. I'm seeing guys linger in the meeting rooms longer watching film. I'm seeing position groups with their coaches, whether it's running backs, receivers, defense, whoever it is. I'm seeing them have meetings that aren't necessarily mandatory after practice because guys know what's at stake. And in order to make a run in the postseason, you've absolutely got to have that mentality. And you've got to not just have that mentality, but you've got to have that team atmosphere and that team camaraderie. You got to want to be with the guys on the team. You got to want to strive for something. You can't be complacent like, well, if the season loses, I'm still a millionaire. I get some time off and I need it. No, you got to want it, and you got to want it bad. It goes outside of just the regular contract that you've signed up for. So to hear that guys are doing that, that's huge. That's huge. And Phil says, in terms of Baker, I felt like Duke Riley was borderline starter material. He'll get a chance to make himself a lot of money over the next 5 games. I really like the way he plays. I've always liked Riley as well. There's got to be a reason that he's more of a special teamer than a starter. I don't know what that reason is. Hopefully we don't see it, and hopefully he balls out and does well. I don't know how long Baker's going to be out, but I do like Duke Riley. I think he can be a thumper in the run game. And I always thought that there was, kind of some speculation he could be a decent pass defender, but obviously he hasn't really had a lot of a chance, and I don't know what the reasons are. We're not at practice. We don't know, but hopefully he emerges and does well with that. Guys, if you're in here, I'm going to ask you again, click subscribe. Takes a second. Smash subscribe. Join Fury Fam. Let's get to 1,500 subscribers. Hit subscribe if you haven't done so already. But Tyreek Hill, let's talk about the chasing of the record right now. Looks like he's currently at, how many yards is Tyreek at now? Tyreek is at 1,481 yards. He's trying to get to 2,000. He's on pace to get past 2,000. Now, you never know. Guys can have a pedestrian game where they only have 50, 40 yards. Let's hope he doesn't. Let's hope he stays at 100 yards a clip, which with the games remaining should get him right around there. That would be a huge accolade. And Tyreek, as Raf points out, he broke Clayton's record already for yards on the team, which was amazing. And I think I saw a stat during the game that he broke a franchise record from Paul Warfield, the storied Hall of Famer, 1972 superstar receiver Paul Warfield. Apparently, Tyreek had 2 touchdowns of more than 60 yards in a game, I think. And that had been the first time since 1971 or something that Paul Warfield had. Which is just, the amount of things that this team is accomplishing really should give you pause. And I want you to do something too as a Dolphins fan, right? As a football fan, I would give this advice to anybody, especially as a Dolphins fan. It's December, right? It's only December 4th. It's only December 4th. And we're in the midst of the holiday season. It's a time for reflection. It's a time to be around your family. It's a time to enjoy life. Every week, the Dolphins play. The Dolphins play once that week. Once that week. And then the whole rest of the week, there's no, there's other games on, but there's no Dolphins game on. But there's guys like me who talk to you about the Dolphins. There's your favorite commentators. There's your favorite radio stations. There's, all the main sports networks. They're all talking about these things. At the end of the day, I want you to enjoy the ride. Don't rush and wish away the ride with speculation or with anticipation or with too many daydreams or too much of that. Because this is a special season no matter how it ends, okay? And it's difficult to get where every fan base wants to get at the end of the year. And only one team out of 32 does it every year. And I'm not counting my chickens before they hatch. I want you during this December to enjoy every week and to soak up every bit of what's going on with this team, because it's a special season and it's going to be a special memory and it's a special time for all of us fans and the team as we go through it. Guys are going to break records. Guys are close to breaking records. People are talking about us. This is a successful season so far. Now, I'm not going to talk a lot about it, gloat about accolades, talk about where we are, or any of those things until the season's over. Because counting your chickens before they hatch as an NFL fan is absolutely a silly thing to do on so many levels. I'm not going to do it. But I'm just looking to soak up this season and enjoy it, especially during this holiday season. It's a good week this week. Hopefully this continues and it happens next week, but you never know. It's a good week this week to be a Miami Dolphins fan, and we should be soaking it up. Let's root for Tyreek to get this record. Let's continue to root for these guys. And now one of the revelations I had this year. And remember, this was a show me season. And I've been looking all season to just be shown what's going on. The fact is that I was looking to see what Tua would do. I was looking to see what McDaniel would do this year. And I said that expectations were high and they needed to be. Thus far, there have been some missteps, especially with the better teams. And there have been some good performances, and we're in a good position right now. But we can't analyze the entire performance in the show me season until the end of the season, which we'll do when we get there. We ain't there yet, and I want you to reflect on it and enjoy it and soak it up. But here's two things that I think are important that I've seen so far and that I was looking to see. The first is Tua, the way he played in that bad weather yesterday. I'm not going to get off it because I think it's very important. I understand this wasn't one of the better teams, right? So we have to get to one of the better teams before we completely start saying that this is settled. We have to get to the promised land. But the way Tua played in that crappy December weather, in a December game on the road, and the way that he was patient, had poise in the pocket, escaped trouble, and hit guys down the field by reading the defense and reading who was open. And, I thought we were in a rough position, really, with Ron Rivera firing Jack Del Rio right before the game. Because when a team sometimes is reeling and they're not doing well and nothing's working for them, sometimes you want them to stick with what they are doing when you go up against them. And sometimes when teams make changes to coaching staffs or other things and they tweak things, the team gets an injection of energy and they get all of a sudden outside the box perspective. And all of a sudden, they want to change up what they're doing and it could negatively affect you. And I thought that the way that Ron Rivera fired Jack Del Rio and then he kind of adjusted. We came out swinging. We had a great first drive with that long touchdown. Then I felt like he adjusted a little bit. And I think he was dropping some guys into zone. Although they were playing press man on Tyreek on both those touchdowns, I think was a mistake. And Tyreek said as much. But I think he was giving us some problems in the coverage game. And it was nice to see Tua not get rattled, not force things, and look downfield and show that he can look downfield, not only be patient and look downfield in terms of throwing it away or not making mistakes or not forcing it, but finding guys open and throwing to them accurately was a huge, huge, huge revelation for this team. And it's huge on my journey of trying to get the Dolphins to show me what they're about. The second thing that I think is really eye-opening that, I could speculate about all I want, and we could all speculate, and what you see is only what they put out publicly until you get a deeper dive, until you get a closer look at everything. But Mike McDaniel, watching Hard Knocks, I don't know if people have seen this. Mike McDaniel is like, I wouldn't say a totally different person, but Mike McDaniel with the guys in that locker room and in front of that team and interacting with those guys is a completely different persona than the guy that, we see on the podium at the press conferences week in and week out. And what I mean by that, and it's a good thing, Mike McDaniel, for all we see this smaller kind of quirky guy and this and that in public and in front of the media, when you see him in front of this team, the way he speaks, the way he rallies the troops, you're seeing a guy who is demanding in some ways, a guy who certainly can rally the team around him, a guy who certainly has a leadership personality. And it's much more understandable now, getting that glimpse inside the locker room, why the team is rallying around him. And I'm a little bit, encouraged, more so than I was a little while ago. I'm more encouraged by what I see from Mike McDaniel now. And that's not just his personality in the locker room. And I thought something that to me was very telling, because you always hear so much about, oh, this guy's a player's coach. He's a player's guy. And, the player's coach only lasts so long. It only goes so far because you have to have accountability. You have to have some bit of toughness with them, et cetera, et cetera. And guys, again, 21 people. And if you're not subscribed yet, click subscribe. Takes you 2 seconds. Just hit subscribe. You'll be notified about the content on this channel. You'll be an official member of Fury Fam. Click subscribe if you're in here. But there was a moment in Hard Knocks where after the Jets game, and this is understandable because a lot of times when a team wins, they might have a victory Monday, which means they have off Monday. But this was a Friday game because this was on Black Friday. And McDaniel's giving a speech about winning the game. And he goes, we're going to have a weekend off. We're going to have a weekend off. And enjoy the weekend off. And the guys go, oh, we have a Monday off, like a victory Monday. And he goes, F you. He looks at them. He goes, F you. No. You have the weekend off. You have Saturday and Sunday off. You have Saturday and Sunday off, but not Monday. He goes, this is not our Super Bowl. This ain't our Super Bowl. We're not going to get ahead of ourselves and start celebrating prematurely and taking Mondays off. We were lucky enough to have a Friday game, so you have Saturday and Sunday off, get some rest. But Monday, we're coming back in. We're getting back to work. We're not in our Super Bowl. We have work to do, is what he said. And I thought that meant a lot. I thought that meant a lot because I saw not this fuddy-duddy players coach who anything goes and let them have fun nonstop with no accountability. I saw a guy who was dead serious and was not only dead serious, but was holding these players accountable and keeping them focused. And as much as he was joking when he said F you to the player who said, are we getting off Monday? He was also keeping it real and letting those players know, hey, you might be joking, but I'm not playing. You don't have off Monday. This isn't our Super Bowl. We got work to do. And thank you, Michael. I appreciate it. Everybody who's in here, if you haven't subscribed yet, if this is your first time here, your second time browsing, please, you support the channel and hit subscribe. It's greatly, greatly appreciated if you hit subscribe. We're putting out objective content. The style on this channel is a little different than some other channels. Stay subscribed to every other channel. Support the whole community. But welcome to Phin-Addict Fury with Larry K. Hit subscribe. And make sure you join us on our Tuesday show as well at 7 p.m. And we have other content on Thursdays, and I have post-game reactions, and we're working on continuing to ramp up the content that we have on this channel. But I just want to make sure the content on this channel is good so that, there's not just a whole bunch of scattershot content, but none of it's really quality. It's just quantity. So the quantity might be a little bit minimal, but the quality I try to keep good. And nice to hear, Michael. Nice to hear. I'm also in the North as well. And I've been a long-time fan, so it's great to have you. But the other thing about McDaniel that I've noticed is his adaptability, right? So in the last couple games, I've seen a coach that has actually learned from his mistakes. Now, I didn't love, he did another gadgety play that I just, I understand you want to showcase your creativity. I understand you want to give guys certain ability. I'm in North Jersey too, Michael. I'm here in Newark. Give guys opportunities to showcase themselves and all that. But like when you're up in a game and you're ground and pound and you want to solidify a game by building on your lead, I didn't love the little like double reverse thing that he did there with Tyreek, towards the end. It's dangerous. We went back in yards. We got behind the sticks. I didn't love that. But the point I was getting to about McDaniel was not to make a negative point. It's just to say I do acknowledge there's still some things I'd like to see. But his adaptability, last season we were like 31st in the league, I think, in terms of ratio of runs to passes. We passed so much more than we ran. And no matter how good our passing game is, and it's good, and no matter how great our receivers are and how good our quarterback is playing, in this league, if you can't be balanced, and if you can't in December and down the stretch, if you can't run the ball strongly and you can't control the clock and control the game on the ground, you're not going to go very far. And that also goes for defense. So there are two things about McDaniel that this season has kind of become a revelation to me. And again, we'll dissect everything after the season, but in the spirit of doing what I said to do, which is soaking up the moment and feeling good right now in the moment of where we are in the season, he hired Vic Fangio, who obviously has a lot of clout in his own right, is older, and has his own philosophies, and he wasn't intimidated enough, too intimidated to hire him. And Fangio has grown and done well. He's let the GM make moves. I'm sure he's had input, but the GM has done quite a good job, this front offense, in this scouting department, in bringing in depth and bringing in right players, not giving up on other players. You bring in Butch Barry to coach the offensive line after you just made a hire. With Applebaum the year before, it didn't work out. You have the opportunity to bring in a guy you believe in. You bring him in. You coach up the guys that the front office believes in rather than making a stink about them. They improve. But Mike McDaniel has adapted in terms of using the run game. And not just using the run game begrudgingly, but scheming up ways to use the run game effectively. And now we've seen a few weeks in a row, Mike McDaniel using the run game very well. And at the end of games, even in the beginning of games, when the game plan calls for and the way the game's going and the weather and other context around the game, when it demands and calls for more use of the run and a better running game overall, we've seen McDaniel go out and use that running game and use it effectively. And now we are one of not only the top passing offenses in the league, but one of the top rushing offenses in the league. This is a show me season, as I've told you. And all of these things are positive developments for this team. And it's nice to see, we talk about complementary football in terms of offense, defense, special teams. Well, there's also complementary football in terms of front office, defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, play callers, head coach, assistant coaches, and we're seeing that this year. Now, I'm not counting my chickens before they hatch, and we still haven't beaten one of the upper echelon teams. And we had 3 chances, and we've slipped in every one of those 3 chances. We still need to prove ourselves in that regard, and we've got a long way to go, and we've got a long season left. A lot could happen in the games that remain. So you've got to stay level-headed here. And remember, it's the Commanders. They haven't been good all year. Lost all kinds of teams. But there are still things you can glean from the team at this juncture of the season, and a lot of them look good. Now, these injuries, will AVG have a day like that every game? I mean, we hope so. He's been very good all year. No reason to think he will have a bad game. But will he be at that level every game? I don't know. And then if he's taken away from the center of the field, or he has to go back because of Baker being out, or whatever, when Agba comes in, can he sustain high productivity in more reps without staying fresh, now that Phillips is gone? I don't know. Knock on wood with injuries. There's probably going to be more. There always are. How does that shake out? You got to think that the way we've been handling our injuries so far has been a good thing for the team. And that hopefully guys are healthy down the stretch. But there's a lot more to be seen. There's a lot more to do. But in this show me season, so far, the Dolphins have been showing us things that we haven't seen in a very long time. And I'm just a little excited that in our first December game this year, we came out and we did really well. Now, part of that's the schedule, but you have to capitalize. There were certain elements to our schedule this year which sucked. One of the elements was all 3 of those games that we lost earlier in the year were away games. So you're playing some of the best teams in the entire league, and you're playing them on the road. That's unfortunate, right? You're playing the Chiefs in Germany, but it was basically a Chiefs home game. You're playing the Eagles in Philly, which is tough, although San Francisco took care of business. And you're playing the Bills on the road. But see, here's where the schedule breaks great for us. You got the Buffalo game and the New England game out of the way earlier in the year. Now, there's a downside to that, right? Because you want usually those teams to be in Miami in September because you can put them in the heat like we did last year with Buffalo, and they struggle. But there's a trade-off. If you play them up north earlier in the year, then you don't have to go up there when it's freezing cold. And this season, we don't have to go up there in November, December in the freezing cold. Buffalo's got to come down to Miami for the last game of the season. New England had to come to Miami in late October. And that helped us. And we went up to the Jets Black Friday. It could have been cold. It was a little chilly. And by the way, that game wasn't, 30 degrees. It wasn't snowing. It didn't have a crazy whipping, freezing cold wind. But it was a cold game. It was a chilly game. I mean, I had my jacket. I had my hat on. It was a colder game. It was a colder game. And we still performed pretty well. I mean, Tua had those 2 picks. I don't think that was because of the weather or because of anything. I think he was getting too cocky trying to force it, and I didn't love the call of being so aggressive at the end of a half. But the weather wasn't a factor. It didn't look like on the team. And then you go to a crappy, windy, rainy, chilly day in the Northeast against DC, against the Commanders, and again, it wasn't. That doesn't mean it won't be a factor. It won't affect us for every game going forward. We still got big tests coming up, and there's no guarantee we do well. So again, I'm not counting my chickens before they hatch. But it bodes well so far. And you have to take advantage of a schedule like this where now we have to play Tennessee, who's no slouch of a team, but they're not doing great this year. Another primetime game, another chance to show the world and the country that we are formidable. Better concentrate, better finally do well. And I know we did well in the Black Friday game, but you got to do well in this Monday night game now because we've struggled a little bit in primetime this year. Another primetime game, but it's against the team you can beat. Will you? I don't know. Then you have the Jets who, the Jets, I think the worst thing that could happen to Miami is the Jets go back to Zach Wilson. But I don't even know. I mean, how do you bench a guy, make him third string, and then try to bring him back because the other two options are so bad? I don't know. But it would be the Dolphins' luck that they bring Zach back and he plays with some kind of vigor. I don't know. But it's a division game. I'll never take a division game for granted. I'll never assume that we're going to win a division game. I'll just go into it and hope we take care of business. But you got to take care of what's on your schedule. You have those two teams in front of you. And perhaps most intriguingly, we took care of business on the road, except against those couple teams. But we took care of games on the road that we should take care of. And that's now put us in a position where, with all the remaining games left, the only road game is against Baltimore. And we have the rest are home games. That big Dallas Christmas Eve game, that's a home game. That's a home game. So everything is right ahead of us. Everything is in front of us. And this is the first time we can say that in a very long time, which is why I'm telling you to soak up the moment, because who knows what happens. Anything could happen in the NFL week in and week out. But right now, we are in a good position. And it's nice to be in that position. It really is. And everything is in front of us. We need to continue to take care of business because the schedule this year shook out in our favor in a lot of ways. And Chef says this is Tua's revenge on the Titans who beat us 2 years ago. And you guys remember that. Remember that game? But each of the last two seasons, there's been some crushing games in December that kind of derailed us on what we were trying to do and kind of let some doubt and some pessimism sneak into the fan base. We're not through December yet. We don't know how this December is going to end. But the opportunity is in front of us to take care of business, to set ourselves up nicely for January. And the way this schedule shakes out, there's really no reason why we shouldn't be doing that. There's just not. So it's a beautiful Victory Monday. I hope everybody's enjoying the Victory Monday. We got to root for the Bengals tonight, although I think it's going to be tough for the Bengals to come out on top without Burrow. I believe the game's in Jacksonville. I'm not positive. It's a tough matchup for Cincinnati, but you still got to hope that they can pull it out for our sake. Nonetheless, the Chiefs losing last night was big for us, but it's all up to us now. The Chiefs already beat us, so they have the tiebreaker. It's up to us to take care of business, but you got to take it 1 week at a time. You can't be worrying too much about seeding and things like that right now. You just got to concentrate on the next opponent. And like I said, soak up each week of this season because it's a special season. No matter what happens this season, we'll remember it for a long time. Soak it up. Good luck to every one of our players that are chasing records and chasing history. And, let's get ready. We're going to enjoy next Sunday, a whole day of football. We don't have to worry about our team. We're just chilling, scoreboard watching, relaxing. And then Monday night, we got a big game against Tennessee. So let's look forward to it. Let's enjoy it. Join me tomorrow. I'll be live at 7 p.m. with Shake and Lucci and G. We're going to have memes for you. We're going to have the good, the bad, the ugly with Shake. I'm going to have another talk with you guys when we start. We're going to have Lucci giving you his take on the game. We're going to have people calling up. We're going to put the link out. We're going to have people calling up, so make sure you join us tomorrow at 7. Make sure you join the happy hour on Thursdays with Lucci and Shake, and tune into my post-game reactions when you can. And if you guys, once again, if you haven't subscribed yet to Phin-Addict Fury, do me a favor, do the whole family a favor. Click subscribe right now. Just take a second and hit subscribe. Join Fury Fam. And get ready for a bunch more great content. And I'll stay with you from now to the end of the season. So hit subscribe. Join the family. Thank you for joining me today. And let's go Bengals tonight. And Phins up. I will talk to all you guys tomorrow night. Larry K out. Hit subscribe, and thanks for joining me today. Peace.
I know you heard me on the radio flexing. She loved the sound of my voice, it's the best thing. Daydreaming of the jazz all day. Pick up the phone late night with Larry K. I know you heard me on the radio